Everybody in the staff team is significantly happier with the system and the support that we have now. So for counsellors, for example, over the recent coronavirus lockdown, we've been able to maintain online meetings because all of our counsellors have access to Teams via their tablets. So I can sit here in my front room, managing 19 counsellors and 4 or 5 officers and members of the public, holding an online meeting with the integrated system that Cloudy provided.
The one thing that I'm really pleased to see is that our actual counsellor attendance at the meetings has actually been boosted. We're getting virtually 100% attendance at all the meetings, which I think is a really good thing, and I am in no doubt whatsoever that's by virtue of the fact that they're able to access the remote meetings via Teams.
Hello and welcome to our CloudyIT webinar on how to drive the adoption of digital best practice in your council. Thank you so much for joining us today. I'm sure you've all had really busy weeks and looking forward to the weekend. We're really looking forward to over the next hour running through some of the great things you can do in your council to really get the best practice and make the most use of your Microsoft 365 environment. So we've got a great lineup of guests here today with us, and we're going to go through all the end-to-end things that you can do to really make 365 work best. So let's start running through it and go through the agenda today. So we're going to be joined by Karen Mann, who's going to be talking about why training is important. Karen, it represents Yorkshire ALC, and she trains all those new clerks and goes and does various webinars and events. And we've done lots of things with Karen, so really looking forward to that. We're also joined by John from Bletchley and Fen Stratford Town Council, and John will be talking about their adoption of Microsoft 365, the pros, the cons, and also the training portal that he's been using to assist with his staff and with his counsellors to really adopt all these new working practices. And then we've also got the Readiness Company, Gary Garner, who's joining us, who represents an organisation who focuses solely on training. We've worked with Gary many times before, and he's got some exciting things to talk about in terms of an e-learning portal that Cloudy provides to all of our customers. And that's really one of the points about this event. We're trying to assist all of our customers, and not even our customers, people who just want to use 365 better. So Gary's going to be talking about that. And then we're joined by our in-house chap, Steve Walker. He'll be talking about the Happy Hour and some of the things that we're doing in the sector around the modernisation process as well. So all really exciting, and we'll chat to them very soon. So we'll just really talk about digital levelling up. So at the Practitioners Conference in February, CloudyIT launched with our partners Microsoft our digital levelling up agenda. And we had Linda Chandler join us, who was talking about basically, Microsoft's approach to hyperlocal economies, to smart towns and smart parishes. It was a really interesting session. And Linda, the session has been recorded. So if you didn't get a chance to watch Linda speak, do go back and watch it. And equally, Linda's written a lovely blog on our website, which is a lovely sort of 10-minute read all about the things we're talking about. But really, it's about really helping town and parish councils get the most of their IT, utilise that 365 subscription to run more productive, communicative councils that engage with their community in a lot better way. So please do join Linda ourselves on that journey. So just a couple of things about Cloudy before we start. So CloudyIT has a number of different services in the local government sector. We provide applications. Steve will talk about those a bit later, but we talk about things like park inspections, allotments, green spaces, youth services, bookings. Our apps are a bit different from those apps you see everywhere else. In fact, that they're made on the Microsoft 365 platform, which means they're more secure. Your data stays in your environment. They're easy to use. The list goes on. And Steve will just touch on that a bit later on. We also do agenda pack solutions with our partners' decisions. We build agenda packs on Microsoft 365, meaning they're really simple, really efficient and quick, and solves a lot of problems I know that our officers and clerks face when building these agenda packs. We also do IT support and trainings. That's our bread and butter. We provide the training and all the support around your 365 environment to make sure you get the most of it. And obviously today's session is all about training. It's all about making the most of 365. And we'll talk about that in more detail in a bit. We do broadcasting solutions. We've helped lots of councils, but also ALCs, SLCC branches, even now can SLCC with broadcasting sessions. So really big thing that we do here at Cloudy. And then finally, we do web design and accessibility. So that's a really important thing, as we know, making sure that sites are accessible and the documentation on the site as well. So today is talking about learning, e-learning, and obviously making the most of 365. And here at Cloudy, we put a big emphasis on that. That's why we've got to get all our guests have joined us today to talk about it. And this is a rolling program of things that we do in the sector to support councils with their adoption of 365. Here at Cloudy, we have a resource toolkit. We have our e-learning portal, which Gary will go through later on and show you, which has learning pathways, drip learning campaigns. We know you're all super busy, and doing it all in one go just isn't going to work. So we can build this learning portal around you and your colleagues, and you can just learn when you have the time to, which is really useful. We also offer monthly skills boost sessions as well, which are really useful in the fact that they're free. You can jump on, speak to an expert, ask those questions, and find new exciting ways of doing things. And then finally, we do our webinars. We've got loads of webinars going on. We've got about 2-3 a month at the moment. My colleague Steve has a session he hosts once a month called the Happy Hour, where he talks about 365 apps and how you can use them in your council. And he also has a Clerks Tech Forum where you can join that forum, ask questions, You can also ask for walkthroughs on certain apps and certain subjects, and our events are joined by clerks who demonstrate what the great work that they've been doing. Next week, we've got an event about choosing the right cloud and making the most of it, and we're being joined by Microsoft and also John's colleague and John's clerk, actually, Delia, who's going to be talking about her adoption of 365 and her experience in the council as well. So we've got lots of events, but generally this is a toolkit of products and services we've put together to support your council in their adoption and modernisation journey. Right, so we're going to be joined by Karen now. Karen, are you there?
Hi, I'm David. Hi, everybody.
Hi, everybody. Yeah, hi, good to see you. Thank you so much for joining us. I know it's your day off as well, so clearly it never stops, so we really appreciate you joining us. Now, we've been sort of, working together over a couple of years. We first met during COVID and, all this virtual stuff, and we're looking forward to coming up to Yorkshire and going to do your AGM in a bit of times. So, obviously it's great to have you here to talk to councils about e-learning and learning the adoption of 365. And I know you've got a slide and some tips. So, if I go to the slide and you can sort of, what have we got there? We've got a missing slide. Sorry about that. We've got an odd order. So.
No, next one.
Yeah, apologies.
going.
Someone's changed. Your slide has dropped out. One second.
Okay.
Bear with me while I just quickly saw that. Ryan, if you want to put a different slide on the screen for a second, if that's okay. But Karen, do you want to talk through some of the things you see within?
I don't need the slide. Process? Yeah, I don't need the slide. I've got the information to hand. Absolutely. If we can move on. Just as a little bit of confirmation and clarification there. It's our conference that David and CloudyIT are exhibiting and coming along as a speaker, and that's on the 23rd of September, and that will be held at the Holiday Inn Leeds, between Leeds and Wakefield. So that's not our AGM, David. That's a conference and we're so pleased that CloudyIT support our events. So thank you very much for coming along and being an exhibitor and also providing information. So the update I would like to give for clerks or councillors or anybody really in attendance today is the importance for me and the Yorkshire Local Councils Association of why training is important. And Yorkshire Local Councils Association, we have 547 members, which is an awful lot of clerks and councillors. And we pride ourselves on the type of training that we offer, but it helps councillors have an understanding of legislation and also find ways of actually engaging with the community in the best ways possible. CloudyIT provide an awful lot of support and training on Microsoft 365 and tools and portals and tips on how to make councils work more effectively and efficiently. So what we do with the Yorkshire Local Councils Association, we do webinar training sessions, and that is all about councils understanding, councils generically, clerks and councillors, understand the importance of training and how technology improves so often. And Microsoft 365 has some useful tools and tips and different applications that are available. Don't be afraid of change is one of the biggest things I would like to say. Every technology changes, but so do the dynamics of parish and town councils. Your village or parish or town or wherever you look after probably has increased in the last, 5 years because of the developments in the area. So don't be surprised that change needs to take place, and the needs of the local residents and the community need to be go along with that. And quite a lot of people, certainly in the COVID times, used remote facilities, remote training, attended webinars where they wouldn't have necessarily been able to attend a face-to-face training course. So get the most out of the technology that's available. Use the techniques, use the training sessions. As I mentioned, Cloudy, they have a training portal, and I know somebody else is going to talk about that, but as an individual, I use it. If I'm not sure of an application, I use them 2 or 3 minute videos and get started and how to improve on certain aspects. And certainly designing newsletters using Sway is something that has been quite useful to our organisation. Keep up to date. attend training sessions, conferences, e-learning. Don't be afraid of getting the best and making the council work the most effectively and efficiently that it can. It's always worth putting 5 or 10 minutes aside to do training. Continuous professional development is a massive plus, certainly for clerks, to keep up to date and obviously accurate with legislation. That's something that's massively important. And if you don't do the training, you don't get the updates. If you don't read the briefings, if you don't read the newsletters, if you don't are not members of the National Association of Local Councils, of which Cloudy are also a partner organisation, you don't get the information. So please consider training as an important aspect of a clerk's duties and encourage your councillors to attend.
Brilliant, Karen. And sorry about the technical issue there. I think I need to go on some training courses, to be honest. But, it's great because, what we do see, is obviously, regardless of size of council, if it's a single clerk or, a large, larger council, you still, there's still benefits to modernising. And like you said, councils are continually adopting more services in the community. And you can't just keep throwing bodies and manpower at stuff. You need to do things more efficiently. And by doing that, you can free up a lot of your time. And, we were in the office, printing out some paper. We don't print much stuff out now, but I was printing some stuff out recently. And it took me ages just to print out a small pack of paper. And I was stapling it, putting it all into one. I thought, gosh, can you imagine a clerk in the office when they have to print all of this stuff out all of the time? It's a full-time job. And I remember years ago, Sally McKinnon, who's one of our clerks, she was talking about using SharePoint to share the agenda. This was over 4 or 5 years ago now, before COVID. And, she talked about, she's written a blog on our website again, about how much time it saved her. And obviously not many councils, I know, print off the agenda pack now. It's all done via email and attachments. So that's good news. We're helping the environment. But we do know actually there's another way to do it rather than just attaching attachments and sharing links, which makes it a lot easier for people to navigate and for you to keep the stuff up to date. But equally, it can be a bit new. And we do know when we're working with the councillors, you've got to treat it sensitively as well, haven't you? So lots to learn, but equally, if lots of advantages to doing it as well, isn't there? So
you'd be surprised, David, how many councils still are asked to, and clerks are asked to print agendas, and that it's a difficult one, isn't it? Because some councillors maybe don't have access or a great internet service. So I'm not saying get away from it completely. What we're saying here, and certainly with yourselves, is look at what's available. How can it be? How can it improve the time that it takes a clerk to print, post, mess about with an agenda? See if you can get your council on board to use the technology that's available.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's just the basics. You've got to walk before you can run. There's no point trying to do all the fancy stuff, but just use the basics, the cloud storage, the co-authoring, a bit of Microsoft Teams thrown in for good measure. And then you can move on to using things like, To-Do or Planner or Forms, these great tools to collect or share or, collaborate with your colleagues. And slowly but surely that change seeps into work in practice, doesn't it?
I think one of the biggest things that we've noticed is a lot of councils during COVID and use Zoom, which is chargeable. Teams is free. So, move across to using Teams as opposed to councils paying for Zoom. And there is on your training portal, there is something, one of the sessions on how to use Teams and how to do calls and everything else to do with Teams. So Teams is a great tool, and yes, we use it all the time.
Yeah, I mean, we do know that at the time, I think council did terrifically well, didn't they? Within a couple of months, everyone was up and running. Zoom clearly was the most popular, but Teams has done a lot of work now. 98 viewable windows. Like you said, it's including subscriptions, so no extra costs.
Exactly.
It's a good product and certainly worth considering. And just like that transition to Zoom was a bit painful, I'm sure, in places, and people really struggled. You'll get the same when people go to Teams, but once they're over it, it'll work really well. But well, Karen, well, thank you so much. Obviously we come and join you for your events, and you've come to ours, and we're looking forward to come up and see you as well. But is there any last tips for new clerks? We're at the SLCC new clerk event later on in the year, and this is a big thing in the sector. I know about clerks and lack of them, etc. But any advice for clerks that you train or are out there right now listening?
Brand new clerks, take on board any training that's given to you. Try the ILCA, the Introduction to Local Councils Administration. That's a course provided by the SLCC, and FILCA, which was introduced in November 21. FILCA is a finance introduction to local council associations, and it gives you the starting point of what the councils need to do to be legislative regarding finances. But there is so much training out there for clerks. If you're a new clerk, don't be afraid to ask. One of the things we always say on our induction for new clerks is there is no such thing as a stupid question. If you think it, there'll be several people also thinking it. So ask the questions. Don't be afraid to ask for support. Go to your local a local council association. We're in Yorkshire, but the whole country has ALCs, and go and talk to them about training that's available, and make sure that you get the council behind you to pay for that training, and indeed ask that they'll give you some time to do it and pay for the time that you take to do it as well. It's not unusual that councils say no, but it's also equally not unusual that councils actually realise the benefit to have a trained clerk. So please keep on board and keep doing the training. Don't let it lapse. Thank you,
Definitely.
David.
It's a lifelong training, isn't it? We never stop learning. So that's great, Cam. Well, thank you so much. It's great to hear from an ALC, especially one like Yorkshire that's so proactive. I know you do a lot for your members. And I know it's your day off today, so you're not going to stay for the Q&A at the end, but equally, if anyone has any questions for Karen, we'll pass them on and we'll get back to you about that. But Karen, thank you so much for joining us. Really appreciate it.
Nice to meet everybody.
Yeah, speak
soon.
Thank you. Cheers.
Bye, Dave. See you later.
Great. Well, that was Karen there. And Karen was obviously talking about, I suppose, training, the importance of it from an ALC and from a large perspective. But we're also joined by John. John, how you doing?
All good today. Yeah. Hi, David. Thanks for having me.
Here we go. Good to see you. Thanks so much for joining us. I think the IT gremlins have creeped their way in, but there we go. That it shows you can never get anything perfect, but we aim for it. So, John, well, thanks for joining us. Great as always to have you here. And really exciting actually, because obviously we started talking, I suppose, to Bletchley over a year ago, didn't we, about IT and technology. Well, do you want to introduce yourself and your role at Bletchley? Actually, that'd be really good.
Yeah, I can do. So we started. I joined actually about a year ago. So I think a year to the day yesterday. I'm support services manager. So I kind of look after all the different services that kind of the council offer, but also includes stuff around IT, the finance and the HR and all that. So it's kind of really good time to come in to the council at the time I did.
Of course. Yeah. Well, that's it. I mean, Bletchley and Fenny Stratford, a fast growing council, lots of levelling up programs going on in the community, I know. And we've got a short slide, John, where you can just outline a bit of picture around Bletchley and what's going on at the moment. So go for it.
Yeah, so I guess there's been quite a lot of change. I started a year ago, as I've just said. So we are very much a growing town council. 21 councillors, 11 kind of employees in the staff team. I won't go everything, but you can see the precept and kind of the amount of postcodes we serve in the area. So a number of services we provide as well. But as David said, we started speaking about a year ago. It's gone very quick, I'd have to say. We've moved buildings in February, and we thought, I joined at a time where we needed probably to do something different with our IT provision and systems. So it was a very good time to have a conversation. And finally, as I've put in February, we kind of moved over to a new system with Microsoft 365 and Teams and all that jazz that comes with it.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So it's been great so far. I mean, before, just to give you a bit of background, when I joined, we had two IT suppliers that kind of provided a kind of a Citrix environment, but soon became apparent that it was very much outdated, slowed us down, wasn't much we could do with it in terms of sharing documents, collaborating with different people. So it was a tricky time to kind of move from where we were and the challenges we had to kind of where we are now, which is a very different place.
Yeah, and that's the thing, I suppose. Obviously when COVID struck, we all sort of went to working from home, and with the Citrix environment, fantastic. You still could get to your data, absolutely. You could see your emails, but I think what we did lose is that human touch, didn't we? The ability to, feel as connected to your colleagues as possible whilst being remote, and that's why 365 and Microsoft is such a powerful platform, because through Teams and all these wonderful things, co-authoring and instant chat and stuff, we can really work in a very hybrid way. And I know obviously, Delia the Clark's coming on next week to talk about that, but that, I suppose that's the thing you're looking for is flexibility, I suppose, isn't it? To just, do your job from any location at any time.
Absolutely. Yeah. I think we previously we use Teams now. Before we couldn't use Teams at all, and I know the team here, my staff team, are kind of so happy that we can, we're talking a lot more even when we're not in the office, whereas we've kind of lost that. Even we are in the same office, we're sharing things, we're talking about different things that are going on, so we're definitely brings the team together as well, which is, and that flexibility, that agile working is come through for us.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's the thing as well. The great thing is part of a secure environment. So, what you're trying to do is obviously, narrow or minimize your communications channels, and you haven't got a WhatsApp here and a message there, and, it sort of gets a bit confusing. Yeah. But if it's all within Microsoft and use Teams, which is like WhatsApp Messenger, basically, from a GDPR perspective, from an information request perspective, it's all in the same place. It's all secure.
It's all in one place. And like you said, David, as well, with the team, our phone systems on Team as well that you set up for us, and that in itself is been great as well. So again, that's all in one place, all from our laptop. We can do everything. We don't need extra phones coming in. We could just log on, and I've got everything we need at our fingertips on the screen. So it's been really good.
And so that's great to hear. So, the adoption of 365 is going well. You're seeing the benefits. I suppose with any council, we work with any council in general, there's lots of councils using 365. Some don't even realise. But the question is, how do you, get to that place where you're using all the different services and products that are available to you? Because what we're trying to do is obviously minimize your IT spend, get value for money. And, rather than going out and buying a third party bit of software to do something, you look through your portfolio of apps and you find something that's there. So, what's your favorite app so far, John? I know it's early days, but
there's quite a few. I think, we're kind of early days, as you say, and there's stuff coming up that we want to get more involved with, which we're going to be speaking about to you very soon. But at the moment, it's the basic things like using Planner. Planner is my favorite. When I first started using it, and I had to tell everyone about it and make sure they're using it as well. So Planner's been very helpful because you can assign tasks, you can plan your day, you've got it all in one place, and I find it so efficient just to tick off when I've done it. Prioritization as well you can do. So personally, mine's Planner, and I think a few of the guys here will say Planner as well.
Yeah, we see that a lot, actually. It's a very quick win for clerks and officers, because you're all about organizing and tasks and lists and targets, and so Planner's a great win. And we've had Sally from Wellingborough Town Council come and talk about it previously. We had Sarah, sorry, we had Rachel from I can't remember the name of the council now, but Rachel come and talk last time about a Planner and how useful. So lots of councils love Planner. And then Steve actually in his last happy hour last month talked about To Do, which links into Planner, which is lovely, which is a personalized app. So Steve might talk about it later. So yeah, there's so many apps in the ecosystem that are free, which is great. But equally, you're busy, you're running the council, elections, budgets, jubilees, it's non-stop, isn't it? So it's finding that time, isn't it, to devote to it. And obviously, what we love about Bletchley, John, is that from yourself and Dee, is you really do see it as a very important thing at the council. And we've set you up with your portal for eLearning, which you're in charge of. And you want to just tell us a bit about the portal and how it's been assisting yourself?
Yeah, so the training, the training, so clip training as well, and the portal itself is been helpful for me, because that a lot of the team here, they've not used certain systems in their career, so we can actually show people. You can see short videos, you can go through kind of mini kind of tests on to make sure you're learning as you go along, so test your learning. So we can I can assign them to people, I can track, or sit on the dashboard, see what people have done, what they've got to do, set some deadlines as well, so we can kind of really get a bird's eye view on kind of what training's being delivered and what's not, and kind of keeping track of that has been really good.
Yeah, and that's the thing, is it's supporting your colleagues and your counsellors, and people just aren't born with this knowledge, are they? It doesn't just magically seep in. You need a program, you need a product to help them, and the product that we've got here, Clip Training, which Karen's used, yourselves used, and is available free of charge for all of our councils. It's a great product for that, and obviously Gary will talk a bit about that later on, and we're continuously tweaking it as well, actually. So it's not like it's a finished product by any means, but it's really great to see that the great work that Bletchley's been doing through not just the 365, but using Clip Training and helping you out with the apps. And I suppose, what are you looking forward to in the future, John? What's the sort of perfect picture for yourself? Where's the council going?
Yeah, I think just continue building on, I think ultimately we want to deliver a great customer service, and there's certain aspects of services that we're taking on as well in the future that we will need help with, in terms of kind of applications and how we kind of work together as a team. And I think the technology that we're using now, we've come a long way in the last year. So it's just building on, working more, increasing our productivity, efficiency, and kind of everyone developing as a team as well, using these systems, and just ultimately delivering a great service to our residents is the outcome that we want to achieve. Keep doing that. So yeah,
absolutely.
It's been good.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And it is a very exciting period, because if we can get the basics right, and all the stuff, just the basics like SharePoint and Teams and co-authoring, those are things that we should really be doing, but equally, you need to learn that. But I think the really exciting part comes to what we do with the data, and how we can start automating processes in the back end. And, it really, like you said, connecting to the community and providing a very high level of customer service, which is what we all want. So, yeah, we're looking forward to working on that, John, and really appreciate you, coming along and speaking today.
My pleasure.
And if anyone's got any questions about, John's modernisation process and the pros and the cons and stuff, please do put it in the chat, and John will answer it at the end of the session. So John, well, we've got to move on. We've got 2 more guests speaking, and then we'll have just about 10-15 minutes at the end for Q&A. But John, as always, thanks ever so much for your time.
Thank you, David.
And see you a bit later. Cheers.
See you in a bit.
Great. Well, that was John from Bletchley and Fenny Stratford Town Council. The slide deck seems to be behaving itself, so good news. So we're now joined by Gary Garnett. Gary, how you doing?
Yeah, morning all. Hi, Dave.
Hi. Brilliant, Gary. Well, thanks for joining us again. And I first met Gary at a Microsoft event down at not Redmond. it was Reading. It wasn't in the States. Over at Reading. And Gary's company, the Readiness Company, they deliver training on behalf of Microsoft. But I suppose, Gary, you'll do a much better job at introducing yourself. So, Gary, if you want to introduce yourself, that'd be great.
Yeah, sure. Thank you. So morning all. We're a very small, I always use the word boutique consultancy, which I get teased about. And essentially, we focus on supporting organizations to utilize the Microsoft technology. And we've been working with Dave and his team all for a few years now. And I'm here ready to show you the portal that has been mentioned a couple of times and just kind of walk you through it. So, yeah, that's us, and that's kind of why I'm here today.
Brilliant. And it's really exciting because the technology is so useful and so impactful, but it's the human element, isn't it? That's where we've got to be sensitive to. And, it can often be, I think, forgotten about, in terms of people's abilities, skills and confidence. And definitely dealing in the local government sector, we have the added angle of counsellors as well. You know, that's an important part of them using the technology. So really complicated picture, but you know, the product we've got with Gary and the clip training product, and also some of the things we're doing at the moment, Gary, isn't it, in terms of working with ALCs to look at you know, sort of bigger programs around training and modernisation is really exciting. But yeah, Gary, if you want to share your screen, and then you can talk through the e-learning portal clip training that we provide all our councils free of charge.
Okay. Let me know when you can see my screen.
Yeah, I think just should be, there we go. It's on the screen now. Yeah.
Okay. And can you now see some pretty boxes on my screen?
Sure can. Yeah.
Right. Okay. All right. Good to go. Okay. So this is essentially the main hub of the eLearning portal that we were talking about. And essentially, there's a circa 2,000 micro videos within here. So there's about 3 to 4 minutes per video. And essentially, I've kind of got it here just running in the Teams desktop app, as you can see. It will run in a browser. I'll show you that later. So the idea is that you can access this from anywhere. If I start looking at some of the courses, and all this is hideable. So, for example, if you don't want Teams to be part of what your staff and council is seeing, then you can hide it. And if I maybe go into Teams Essential as a starting point, and you can see here it's really split into learning paths. And I'll just scroll down so you get a sense of it. Okay.
Lots there, isn't there, Gary? And that's just one section.
Yeah, and clearly this is, you know, just one learning path of all the content that's in there. I'll start playing a video. I'm not sure if you'll hear it, but just let me know, Dave, if you hear anything.
In this lesson, we're going to have an overview of why Microsoft Teams is a great application. I want to just show you some of...
I'll pause it. I won't go all the way through. But essentially, as you can see, they're kind of micro videos here. And it does have a sharing capability. So if you like this video, you can share it with your colleagues. And also it has a transcript capability to transcribe it into many, many languages around the world. And if you're familiar with Czech, you'll be able to decide whether that's a good translation. We do get good feedback about the quality of the transcript. I don't speak Czech, so I don't know if that's particularly good or not. But anyway, it does have that capability. And the other, things just to mention here is in each kind of small component of the learning path, you have quizzes, and these are small check your learning quizzes. There's 5 questions here, and you can submit your answer. Your answers are not recorded, so this is really just to check your learning. You also have exam capability. So if you're really keen that your staff do the learning and then can show the learning, you can see these are slightly heftier, 25 questions. And then these are now recorded. So the exams are recorded if that's what you wish for. So it's got quizzes and exams. You can also mark courses as favorites for yourself. You can also mark courses as featured for your council. And there's downloads that you can do. So if you can download the starter guide, and you can download, for example, the course outline. And I'll just show you this quickly. Yeah. And you can see you've kind of got all the outline of what's going on. So you can utilize it for further learning, etc. So this is really the hub of the environment, is this course library. And then you can also add your own content if you wish. So if I go into this, we call them private channels, but essentially you can come in here and you can then add your own bespoke council content if you so wish. You can do embedding from the internet. You can do your own videos, Word documents, PowerPoint. You can kind of see the different formats. So if you do want to add your own content, then that is one option that you kind of have here. Okay, and there is a learning marketplace here, which is really extra buyable content if you wish. And if I just scroll down and choose one area under cybersecurity, which is a reasonably hot topic at the moment, you can see there's all sorts of how to protect yourself and your staff in this new world of cybersecurity. So there is the kind of the marketplace as well. And then you have the My Training. So this is your area. It will show you, I guess these says time savings and skill increase. They're slightly theoretical because based upon the videos that's in the portal, certainly if you can watch a video and it unsticks you, then, you're going to save time. And it's not an exact science as to, for each individual, how much time and skill increase it will give them. So I'm a little bit not facetious or grumpy about it. I think the principle is good, but the exact measurements are quite difficult to define. You can have achievements. So, for example, every time you watch a video, share a video, do a quiz, do an exam, then you can get some points, and therefore you can get badges of honor and be known as a good champion of the portal.
It's a bit of gamification, isn't it? People quite like this to make it a bit of a contest, but quite friendly as well. Can help with the adoption, can't it?
Yeah, it can. And certainly if you've got, we spoke, Karen and yourself, Dave, spoke about, it's a change for people. And if you're going to support your people through the change, then it's really good to get maybe advocates or champions, and the champions can support your staff because they can be asked questions. And that sort of community love this kind of gamification and getting their badges to show they're a good advocate and a good champion and a good supporter of technology and where the council is heading. So yeah, gamification is the modern word for it. And then you've got this. Oh, sorry, let me just finish this off. And then you've got drip campaigns, which I'll come back to. Active courses that you're watching. So this is your personal area as a member of staff. And then you've got just an area up here, which is Insights, which is a monthly, again, security focused video, because clearly the world we live in at the moment, there is quite a bit of security concerns. I seem to be getting more spam than I ever have done of late. So a monthly update on how to protect yourself isn't a bad thing. Okay, and the last thing before I move on is really, if I go to the course library and I search, and I'll choose pivot table just as an example. Oh, here we go. I'm leaving myself open to the demo gods here, aren't I? That's it.
It does usually work that one. Yeah, I often go for the pivot table. Yeah, it's not there.
I was never going to get away with doing. There we go. There we go. I was never going to get away with doing a live demo. It was a very rash decision because the demo gods always have some part to play. But anyways, so here and perhaps one of the most useful capabilities of the portal is to unstick yourself, to go in, to search for something, to find a 3 or 4 minute video, watch it, learn what you need to, and be on your way again. The last time I used this was for deduplicating Excel spreadsheets, which I've never done before. And, so a quick 4 minute video showed me how to do it, and then I was on my way. So it really unsticks you if you can search what you're looking for. And you can search, let's say, for example, you don't have Office 2021, you only have Office 2019 or whatever it might be, then you can search within the various technologies that you have to find what you're looking for. So searching and finding stuff is a great capability that the portal has.
Brilliant. Yep.
And then the last bit really is really the back end. It's really useful, certainly if you're a larger council, is to have someone who owns this, who's passionate about learning and development and would support the staff. So the back end really will show you, you can group your council by areas or learning needs. So there's a grouping capability to group your staff. There's learning paths, and it's very easy to add a new learning path. For example, I go in.
What I would add as well, we here at Cloudy, you know, as I've said a couple of times now, we provide this whole platform free of charge, and we actually pre-configure your learning paths for you. Because for a lot of small councils, you know, just the clerk and a couple of officers, just a clerk, you know, they just want access to the library and some useful content. For larger ones, we will actually work with the training manager like John, and we will give them some time to show them around the back end like this and start being able to put together, you know, a new employee pathway, you know, or a new councillor pathway, etc. So so the administrative side of it, we tend to leave for larger ones, and then with the smaller ones, they've got it ready to go out the box as well. So yeah, but it's got, as you can see, there's so much to it. It's an incredible hub of information, and you know, we've seen the value, Gary, for years of this product, and it's just so exciting to be able to implement it with you and our council partners to drive the adoption. And that's it, actually. I think a lot of our customers don't know they've got this as well, which is one of the reasons we launched this event, was to connect with our customers and say, you know, after this, please do look for it. You should see it in your teams. And if you don't, please do contact us, and we'll show you where it is or get it expanded for you. So, yeah. But Gary, I'm conscious of time because we're already at 22.
Okay.
But you know, obviously, Gary's showing you around the generic library here. We have got one set up at Cloudy, which is has the learning pathways and all this sort of stuff. But you know what, we're thinking of actually doing another session like this, aren't we, Gary? But later in the year, so maybe we could cover that then. But otherwise, you know, Gary, you know, just, you know, with your Readiness Company hat on, you know, and your sort of obviously you know, training how, what do you see as the biggest thing that councils can take away in terms of adopting new working practices and new ways of working?
So I would probably say there's three components, and there's certainly something like this, e-learning and training. And I know that you, Dave, and team do great, you know, monthly updates and training and support and supporting councils. The other kind of stuff that maybe lives around that is, if you are a larger council, is, I mentioned it, advocates or champions to support the staff. You know, if change is happening, how are you going to support your people through that change? So the other kind of components that could come into play would be, think about champions, advocate programs that can support staff and answer questions and do demos and, you know, lunch and learns, whatever it might be. And the other component would be maybe some form of change management wrapper to, again, support people through changing the way that they work. So those kind of would be some thoughts for me as to how you support, you know, staff to find new ways of working.
Yeah, no, I really like that. You know, you need a plan. Like anything, it just doesn't miraculously happen. So, you know, put a plan together, put the support in place, and then use the tools that are available. But Gary, well, thanks ever so much. We'll ask if there's some questions at the end. You can join us then. But thanks for your time, and catch up very soon. So cheers.
Okay, all right. Thanks, Dave.
Brilliant. So that was Gary, and now we're on to my colleague Steve. Steve, are you there?
Yeah. Hi. Good morning, David. Good morning, all.
Hi. Thanks for joining us, Steve. So, Steve, we've probably got about 10 minutes. So, Steve is a counsellor, He's also heads up our local government lead, and as like most councils, Steve can talk. So Steve, you've got 10 minutes, all right?
Right, I hope I can fit this all in.
Yeah, so just a bit of background very quickly. So Steve heads our local government drive in the sector. Obviously, him being a councillor, a chair, just gives him some fascinating insight, but also very techie as well. But Steve's just going to talk around some of the things we're doing around, you know, our webinars, our social media, you know, tech, tech groups as well. But Steve, yeah, I'll let you run through it now and ask a few questions as we go along. So go for it.
Yeah, so one of the aspects that we're trying to help with our digital levelling up is to provide councillors, officers and staff members with better access to some of the Microsoft 365 features that they may not be aware of, that comes as part of their subscription, as part of their license. And as you mentioned earlier on, the likes of To-Do and Planner, Delve and Sway, these are apps that may not be familiar to many people, but you've got them. So what we've been trying to do is to refocus training to councils, officers and staff members, and of course councillors, to expand their knowledge of the package that they've got. And we've done this through several initiatives, several you've seen earlier in the webinar. So what I've been focusing on and with David is the direct engagement, either via as social media, where we have a very active forum for clerks, and of course any other members of the council are more than welcome to join us. And we also once a month run the Appy Hour. Now, the focus of the Appy Hour is not only the there's the Clerks Text Forum. Thank you for coming.
Yeah, so I thought the Appy Hour was the next one, but go for it.
yeah. So the Clerks Text Forum, well, basically what we do on there is the Appy Hour once a month. We want to know what you want to talk about and what you want to see. So what we've been focusing on is the engagement. So as you can see, we put a vote out at the beginning of the month. What of the Microsoft apps would you like to see some more information on? And it was To-Do. So in this month's show, we focused on To-Do, and we've had some really, really good feedback from clerks and people that came and joined us on the Appy Hour, that it was, I never knew I had that. It's really good. It links in with Planner. It links in with Outlook. So again, it's another integrated cloud app. So the Clerks Tech Forum, we'll put some details up in chat if people want to know how to join and how to get in.
We did have, Steve, didn't we? We've got Sally joining us on the next session of Clerks Tech Forum, who's been using To-Do and Planner successfully, who's coming to talk a bit more about her experience and shed a bit of light on that. But the month before, it was bookings, was it? You did bookings with Sarah?
Yes, we did bookings, and a clerk, Sarah, a local clerk to us, she contacted us after the show, and she said she was really, really interested in using bookings, and we arranged a one-to-one session over Teams with her, went through setting up bookings, and she now uses that for all of her customer sort of facing bookings to manage that schedule. So from a clerk's perspective, those prospective people wishing to view an allotment, she now has an allotments booking link that she provides to them so that a resident can find a slot, and she finds that much easier. So again, the show led to a council adopting something that they weren't aware existed in the out-of-box package.
And this is what I like about it as well, is, people come, clerks, officers, councillors come to us with new ideas that we hadn't even thought of, think, oh, that's a good one, and the great thing is they can, we can assist them with the deployment, the configuration, see the benefits. They can come back and talk about their experience, and hopefully other councils out there can benefit. So it's a real win-win, isn't it, for everyone?
Yes, definitely, and this follows on to of course the Appy Hour, and we discuss we discuss via Teams. We look at some apps. So we have obviously our internal suite of council apps which are focused on council operations, allotment management, park inspections, and asset manager. And there are several other apps in the suite, and it's a growing suite. We've got some more apps planned, which we will talk about in the happy hour. And then again, we have a lot of Q&A at the end, and we're happy to talk to people about topics we've raised in the show. And then afterwards, if you want us to come and talk to you directly about what some of the topics we've discussed, we're more than happy to do that. And as David said, we've got other users in councils are joining us now on the shows to show us, or to show you, how they've implemented something that they've seen in a previous show. So we're really, really excited about that, aren't we, David?
Yeah, it's great. And, this is what it's all about, sharing best practice. And, not everyone has all the answers, but certainly your problems. And if you can find someone else doing a great job, then you can sort of, take on what you've learned and adapt it for what you need. And we love to see that in action. So, the Happy Hour is a great event that we run every month alongside the Tech Forum, and the two work together there as well. So, great. Well, and there's a quick slide about our apps. Sorry, mercifully given the plug. So go on then, Steve.
Right. Yeah. So again, our app suite at the moment, as you can see, we've got a list there of a couple of inspection apps, a couple for managing allotments, green spaces, and the green spaces app has a public element as well, so that members of your residents can report things directly to you. All of these apps work in Teams. All of these apps, the data is, and again, David mentioned this earlier on, it's secure, it's in your cloud, it's not hosted up by a third party anywhere else. So any data protection policies or retention policies that you have covers this data. And the apps evolve all the time. We're always having meetings with users of the apps, and they bring up some fantastic sort of thoughts and suggestions, and we take these straight back to the to the development team, and then we have a look to think, is that feasible, is that workable? And I'm really, really pleased to say a lot of things that they go straight back into the apps, don't they, David? They evolve really, really quickly. So every time we present them, and again in the happy hour, we highlight, last month we spoke of, by the way, we had some feedback, this month they're implemented and they're pushed out, aren't they, to those councils. If you're part of the app suite, those updates are published to you straight away, so you're always running the latest version.
Yeah, brilliant. Well, thanks, Steve. So and this all ties back into this whole sort of learning and development of the 365 environment. So it's a really wonderful ecosystem, and obviously whether you're using the apps that Cloudy have created, or the free apps that come in your subscription, or doing all the things that John was talking about earlier around using 365 like Teams and SharePoint to be more productive. It's just all about the adoption of this new service to be more effective. So thank you, Steve. Well, that's great. So we actually managed to get on time as well, so we've got 9 minutes left if anyone has any questions. So we are thinking about running this session again, so I don't know if there's if there's anyone who has missed it, they can watch the recording back and share it with their colleagues as well. But yeah, if anyone does have any questions, we'll put it on the screen now, but if not, I can wrap things up. Okay, so we've got no questions today, so not a problem. Well, we are thinking of doing this event again, because I think we're trying to connect to as many councils as possible. So please do, if you have attended and you do like the content, do share it around. So just really to wrap up in terms of all the events we've got on, we have a lot of events happening at the moment, and apologies with this slide because it is slightly out of date, but I can talk you through the events we've got. So we're basically, next week we're joined by Delia, the clerk at Bletchley Stratford Town Council, as she talks about modernising using 365, using clip training, and how that process is going. We're also joined by John from Microsoft, who will be talking about security in the 365 environment. Really interesting to talk about how all these different elements can really just give you that blanket cover. And this serverless world that we live in, where we don't need servers, it's all cloud controlled. But how is your data secure? What stuff goes on in the background? And John will be talking about that as well, so really useful. And then we have Fran Borg-Wheeler joining us, who has spoken before on one of our events, and she joined me at the practitioners conference. Actually, it was really nice when we hosted a quiz on the council sector, would you believe it, online. But Fran will be talking about the A to Z of working from home and working efficiently. Really exciting. She's such an energetic, lovely person. So Fran will be joining us there. So we've got another group of great guests coming along to talk to us about 365, picking the right cloud and their experience and how they can assist. And that's part of a busy schedule of events that we've got going on with our council partners as well. But thank you so much for joining us. We really appreciate it. If you could give us some feedback, it would be really valued. There's a QR code there that you can just snap. We'll leave it on the screen for a bit longer. The adoption of Microsoft 365 in these services is so important, and we know it is the human element that often struggles, which is why we're doing all of this stuff to support people in their adoption. So we're always here. If you've got any questions, please do reach out. Myself, Steve, Karen, John, Gary, we'd all love to answer any questions that you have. But otherwise, thanks for joining us today. Have a wonderful weekend, and we look forward to catching up with you soon. Bye-bye. As part of our Digital Levelling Up agenda for local government launched at this year's Practitioners Conference in partnership with Microsoft, we're proud to be putting on a number of events this year. In March, we've got 2 events happening. One being how to use Microsoft 365 to run a more productive council. The other one on how to build and distribute the modern agenda pack on Microsoft 365 with our partner Decisions. We'd love to see you at those events, so please do sign up, and we look forward to seeing you then.
Our focus at Decisions is sort of taking what Microsoft has already built, what you already have access to from your subscriptions to Microsoft Teams and Microsoft 365, and extend those and get them to integrate a bit better for the purposes of organizing meetings.
Hello, my name is Kelly Holland. I am a parish clerk to a small parish council in Essex. I've been a clerk now for 13 years. We have an electorate of just over 1,100, 9 councillors, and at present we have a precept of just over £46,000. Modernising the council was something that was really quite important to me. I'm very much someone who likes to be organised, everything in its own little place. So it was important that I could do that with my council, who aren't necessarily as susceptible to change as I would like them to be. But the main reason for that was to try and streamline my work, give myself more time to actually spend on the projects that needed more time on, and reduce that time commitment on the kind of day-to-day aspects of the job. The decision software showed me a completely new way of working that would address my issues and my challenges in relation to time. Creating the agendas and the paperwork and everything it's creating a huge time commitment for me that I knew needed addressing, but I didn't know what the solution was. So actually seeing this in action, how decisions would work and how it would actually create that agenda pack for me. I've been doing it personally myself in a more as I said, a longer way around, which I've done through Word and also from screenshotting PDFs and trying to fit them in and trying to make sure that they're accessible as well. And it has been a huge drain on my time. So the actual decision software showed that the time spent creating the agendas and the associated packs could be dramatically decreased for me. And there was this software package that did it for me. So to me, that was me. I was kind of sold on it just from that perspective. But in addition, it also gave you the opportunity to create a draft template for your minutes, where it just carried the information from the agenda over to the minutes document. So it was your minutes are almost half written before you even go to write your minutes, which I really liked the idea of. And also the decisions made within the meeting could then be put into Microsoft Planner as well, which I currently do that in a different system. So all these steps that I do myself, one particular piece of software could do for me, which I thought was really, really helpful. So that's the main things that sold me